In ancient Egypt, gods live among mortals and rule the land. They're easily distinguishable because they're much taller than the average person. They have golden blood, and they can transform into all manner of frightening beasts. Osiris is the king of all the land made bountiful by the Nile, while his brother Set rules the barren desert. And this isolation has made him bitter. Eventually, Osiris decides to pass the throne to his son Horus, who is in a relationship with the goddess Hathor. He cares about Hathor so much that he's gifted one of Egypt's greatest treasures, the bracelet of 42 stars, which can keep demons away. On the day of the coronation, everyone comes to the celebration, including every god, but also every mortal in the city. This includes Zia and her boyfriend Bek, a thief who doesn't hesitate to steal fancy things to make his girlfriend happy, and perhaps run away together someday. After all, the gods have given their regards and mortals have left their offerings. Osiris gives a speech and gets ready to put the crown on Horus. They're interrupted by the arrival of Set, who pretends to be here with a gift, but soon he fills the place with his army. Then he hands Osiris the staff their father had gifted him, asking for a fight because he thinks it's his turn to rule. Osiris refuses to fight his brother, so Set kills him on the spot and declares himself the new king of Egypt. His first new rule is that not everyone will get to easily go to the afterlife. From now on, mankind will have to pay in riches. Horus won't stand for this. He immediately begins fighting Set to take revenge on his father. They're both very good warriors with a similar level of skill, so they end up transforming into their metal beast forms to continue the fight in the sky to help their master. Set's tropes come through and reflect the sun on their shields to blind Horus, giving Set the chance to claim victory and take Horus' eyes. Set is about to kill Horus too, but Hathor comes through and offers herself to him in exchange for Horus's life. Thus, Horus is exiled instead. 1 year later, most of Egypt was enslaved by Set, and now they lack the money to get an afterlife. Some gods have tried to defeat him to save the kingdom, but they all died. While Hathor keeps playing the part of a caring lover to survive, Zia is a slave to Set's chief architect Urshu, who is in the process of building the tallest obelisk Egypt has ever seen. Bek has been sent to do manual labor, but whenever he has the chance, he sneaks into Urshu's office to visit Zia. One afternoon, Zia shows Bek that Set's army is coming back with spoils of war, meaning his vault will be unlocked in the evening. And this is the perfect chance for Bek to sneak in and retrieve Horus's eyes. To help him, Zia steals the pyramid plans from Urshu, replacing them with blank parchments. When night falls, Bek jumps from a roof into the carriage carrying the gold. Bek is quick and nimble, so he dodges every attack and reaches the statue guarding one of Horus' eyes. When he grabs the eye, he falls into a pit full of scorpions, but thankfully, the light of the eye keeps them away. In the morning, Bek goes to see Zia again, but Urshu has discovered the switcheroo and is waiting for him with a bunch of guards. Bek uses the eye to blind them all and escapes with his girlfriend. But as they run away in a carriage, Urshu shoots his bow from the balcony and kills Zia. Moments later, they arrive at the temple where Horus hides, and Bek gets attacked by Horus with the staff. When he doesn't immediately give him the eye back, Bek promises to do it if Horus revives Zia, and Horus agrees to try, but his efforts are pointless. She's not hurt, she's already dead, and he can't cure mortality. Horus summons Anubis, the god of death, who takes Zia's soul to the underworld to be judged. Bek is worried because she won't be able to pay the fee to the afterlife. So after Horus takes back his eye, Bek offers a deal. If Horus comes up with a way to save Zia, Bek will show him the way into the pyramid to get the other eye. Horus accepts after explaining he may get some extra benefits if he becomes king again, and they take off after hiding Zia in the temple. Meanwhile, Set's sending his army to attack another goddess stronghold when he learns about the missing eye. By the time Set goes to Horus' temple, his nephew is already gone. But he does find Zia's body and takes her necklace after sending his men to find Horus. Back to Horus and Bek. They're currently climbing a mountain because Horus can't transform without both eyes, and he needs help to defeat Set. Horus prays to his grandfather, the god of the sun, for a blessing that temporarily allows him to transform again and fly with Bek towards the solar divine vessel where Ra lives. Ra must fight the shadow beast Apophis every day and keep it away from Egypt. refuses to get involved in Set's conflict because he believes in staying neutral where his sons are concerned, and not willing to play favorites. However, he does allow Horus to fill a flask with the waters that surround the vessel. Back in Egypt, the last standing rebel gods have retreated behind their walls. So Set takes the chance to visit his ex-wife Nephthys and takes her wings from her. At the solar vessel Ra temporarily grants Horus some power so he can fly back with Bek. But he loses it as soon as they get closer to the ground and have a rather unelegant landing. Next, they need to use the flask of water to kill the desert, which would weaken Set greatly. But first Horus sends Bek to gather some regular water to drink. Bek is ambushed by Set's Minotaur army near the waterfall, led by Nephthys. Fortunately, Horus quickly comes to his rescue and easily defeats them all. But Nephthys is only pretending to be dead. He waits for the right moment to push Horus and Bek off the waterfall before fleeing. And the only reason the pair survives is thanks to Horus' staff. Nephthys reports back to Set, who kills him for having failed and sends his mighty hunters after Horus. Then Set asks Hathor to take him to the underworld since she has access there because she used to be a counselor to the dead. Hathor pretends she'll think about it. When she has a free moment, she uses her powers on the sand to make it show her how Horus is doing. When Set finds her, he finally realizes Hathor still loves Horus and she's been lying all this time. So, he tries to kill her. But Hathor escapes by opening a portal with her bracelet. At Osiris Dome, Bek and Horus are pausing their walk back to the city to take a rest. Suddenly, the Set's hunters show up riding giant snakes, and it's dangerous for Horus to fight them because he can't stand their venom in his current state. Bek quickly comes up with a plan. He'll run off to serve as bait while Horus hides among the walls so that when the serpent comes closer, he can sneak attack. The plan works, and Horus manages to stab the snake, but it doesn't hit its weak spot. And now the staff is stuck in the beast's mouth. On their second try, Bek runs for longer, and Horus jumps on top of the snake to kill the rider, causing the snake to keep going without direction and fall off a cliff. There's still the other snake to take care of, but at that moment Hathor shows up and uses her commanding powers to retrieve the staff and make the snake light itself on fire. The trio escapes safely, but Horus isn't happy to see Hathor because he thinks she's nothing but a traitor. Not understanding she had to act not to be killed, Bek explains they're planning to get the other eye because he's seen the pyramid plans, but Hathor informs them there's something they don't know about. A sphinx guards the pyramid, and it will kill anyone who can't answer its riddle. Horus decides to ask the god of wisdom for help, and on their way there, he won't stop arguing with Hathor about her choices. Tired of being taken for granted, Hathor decides to chat with Bek instead, and is shocked to hear about Horus. It shouldn't be possible to bring Zia back, but for now Hathor doesn't comment on it. Moments later, the trio makes it to Thoth's temple, which is full of copies of God because he only trusts himself. Thoth refuses to go with them, and tells them to bring the riddle to him instead. But that would get one of them killed. Bek changes his mind by playing with his ego and saying he'd tell the Sphinx that Thoth had been afraid of getting the answer wrong. The four of them start making their way toward the pyramid, and Hathor takes the chance to scold Horus for promising Bek things he can't achieve. Horus doesn't feel bad, though, because this lies for the sake of the greater good. When they make it to the pyramid grounds, Horus decides to wait until nightfall to pass undetected. While Thoth reminds Horus that Hathor became Seth's lover, just so Set would spare his life. Zia uses her magic on the sand to show Bek an image of Zia waiting in line to be judged. Because Hathor used to guide souls too, she can speak to the dead, and she allows Bek to send Zia a message about his fight to bring her back, which is cut short by Anubis. In the evening, the party approaches the pyramid to find it. In constant movement, Bek chooses a door at random and jumps inside, where he parks his way through a moving bridge that allows him to reach the wheel. That makes it all stop. Now the whole group can enter and approach the Sphinx together. However, Thoth gets the answer to the riddle wrong, and the Sphinx begins attacking them. Bek and Hathor step away, and Horus holds back the Sphinx while Thoth keeps offering possible answers until he gets it right. The correct answer destroys the Sphinx, and the group is free to approach the center of the pyramid, where they need to drop the water, but a trap is waiting for them. Hathor and Horus get caught in a cage while Set suddenly shows up and steals Thoth's brain. Bek grabs the flask, intending to proceed with the plan, But Set gets him to stop by showing him Zia's necklace and explaining Horus lied. Beck isn't sure who to believe, but that short moment of hesitation is enough for Set to steal the flask from him and destroy it. Then Set leaves, hoping the pyramid, crumbling down, will kill them, but Horus manages to open the cage and escapes with his friends by using the wheel as protection outside the pyramid. Beck calls Horus out for his lies and comes to the conclusion gods don't care about their people. Hathor feels they need to compensate Beck for all the lying and summons Anubis to offer herself in exchange for Anubis granting Beck passage to the underworld. Anubis accepts, and Hathor kisses Horus before she's taken away, leaving her bracelet behind so Beck can protect himself against the demons. Beck reaches the underworld safely, thanks to the bracelet, and begins looking for Zia in the queue in front of the gate, where the rich can pay for the afterlife and the poor are dissolved. Meanwhile, Set is making his beast's transformation more powerful by adding Thoth's brain, Osiris' heart, Horus's eye, and Neptune's wings to his magic armor. Then he flies to the solar vessel to avenge his father for having exiled him to the desert. Ra explains he's wrong and that he never played favorites. All this has always been a test. He gave Osiris the crown, and when the time came, he knew he had to give that power away. So he passed his test. Set was given the desert as a test of patience, because Ra wants his son to take over the vessel one day. This enrages Set because he doesn't want to be stuck here spending his eternity fighting a space worm, and he proceeds to attack his father. Ra retaliates with his solar beam that no god should survive, but Set has the power of multiple gods now and manages to defeat Ra before letting Apophis roam free. In the underworld, Beck finds Zia and wants to give her the bracelet so she can pay her fee to the afterlife, but they're interrupted by an Apophis attack, which forces Anubis to close the gates for now. Zia convinces Beck to give Horus a second chance, and Beck uses the bracelet to come back to Egypt. Teaming up with Horus again, a carriage sent by Neptus takes the duo back to the city, where Set shows up with Ra's spear, and while standing on top of the obelisk, he commands Apophis to attack the Nile, which is the source of all life. Horus and Beck kidnap Urshu to make the architect get them inside the obelisk while Horus makes his way up. Climbing, Horus and Ursu take the elevator and end up fighting. Their struggle knocks over a torch and the elevator catches on fire, so Beck ties his rope to the wall and jumps off before the elevator is taken over by the fire, falling as it takes Ursu with it. At the top of the obelisk, Horus finds Set and begins another fight. Set thinks he's winning this, but Horus is just the bait while Beck shows up for a sneak attack. Putting on his armor, Set attacks Beck, who removes the eye from the helmet before Set pushes him away. Beck throws the eye at Horus, but God decides to do the right thing and save Beck instead of the eye. Horus apologizes to Beck for everything before finally transforming into his beast form again, because it's good deeds and not greed that decide your worth. After leaving Beck safely on the ground, Horus goes back to fighting Set inside the obelisk, and by hitting the walls, he manages to make the building crumble and hit Set as well. Once the Set hits the ground, Horus kills it with Ra's spear. Afterward, Horus flies to the solar vessel and gives Ra his spear back, which instantly heals him with power. Ra wastes no time fighting Apophis and sending it back the way it came, allowing Anubis to open the gates again. Horus returns to Egypt and receives his other eye from a child who picked it off the ground. Then Horus checks on Beck, only to discover Set's push had wounded him and the boy dies in front of him. Overwhelmed with grief, Horus takes Beck's body to his temple so he can be next to Zia. At that moment, Ra shows up and revives the young couple as a thank you to Horus for helping him. A few days later, Egypt is bright with life again. All the people have been freed, and Horus is officially crowned king by Thoth. The first thing he does is correct the rules of the afterlife. Good deeds will decide if you pass or not. Not your riches. Beck is named chief advisor to the king, and he gives Horus back the bracelet so he can go to the underworld and rescue Hathor.